Welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me for an early edition. This is February 10th, 2025, and it is Monday. So, with this, I would like to wish good morning to all of my folks that are always here supporting, namely Doug, Stephanie, Jonette, Shannon. Thank you for getting out my posts, and our friend Alan Greenspan, who is always here watching with us, Salty Dog, and others. So, thank you all very kindly. I did not do an edition yesterday. It was Sunday, and also in the United States had the Super Bowl, but I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. So, we've got quite a bit to talk about this morning. You might be wondering what in the world all of these diverse things have in common. And of course, the answer to that is lava. So, with this, let's go into our favored market risk indicator, the MMRI. Now it's at 302.3. We're back in extreme territory for the risk. By this indicator, last Friday was below the 300, back down into high level. So the driver this morning does have a bit of greed into it. However, the daily driver is still by the dip mentality, BTD, and the markets are headed back toward the green after a drop this morning. Now, markets currently look red, but they are on a recovery path. They are all heading green again. The volatility index had increased this at the time that I'm doing this. So by the time market opens, it will probably be more significant. We've got gold at $2,929. So fear play here. This morning, we've got announcements on steel prices rising. This is because of tariffs were announced on steel prices. And the relative strength of the dollar is also driving this up. Now, that's a slight bit of an oddity because normally an increasing dollar strength, relative dollar strength, would put pressure on the market. But instead, what it's doing is it is pressuring foreign markets, and it is driving the foreign investors to put their money back into the United States stock market this morning. So we're watching money flow coming back in at least temporarily. Now, with this, I want to speak about the 10-year yield. Very erratic this morning, extremely volatile. Now at 4.497 at the moment, but this one is showing some uh, very unsettled and erratic movements. I don't like it this morning. We're going to keep our eye on it. As always, the futures are showing green and a bit more move into this uh, solid territory, if you will. We've also got crude oil futures increasing as well, but gold and silver with the safety plays. So this is kind of like the earthquakes going on right now in Santorini. And I really don't care for what's going on with these. Could lead to that tsunami at any time, could also be nothing. So with this cryptocurrencies, what are they telling us? So they are heading back up after a significant drop above Bitcoin above 97,000 again. So with this drawing all of these up. Now what's going on with this? We've got crypto regulation taking a back seat to bank deregulation by the shackling of the CFPB. That is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I'll speak about them in a moment. So one other thing I would like to point out is BlackRock. They are increasing ownership in the company, which is now known as Strategy. It was MicroStrategy. This is the Michael Saylor company that has been purchasing Bitcoin, taking out loans against their stock, issuing more stock, purchasing more Bitcoin. Now, they knew we were all thinking it, so they came out and said exactly the opposite. They have stated that they do not have intention to purchase enough of this company in order to control it. So generally, that means that's exactly what they are doing. They already now own 5% of this company, so just a warning shot across the bow. They have been aggressively buying Bitcoin, trying to hoard this asset. So that should tell you something. Now they are trying to control the other companies that own significant amounts. So with this, let's go on. We've got quite a bit to cover. with the calendar today, we've got some other significant things. Nothing scheduled for today. Now, tomorrow, we've got the NFIB, but we've got a slew of uh, Federal Reserve presidents speaking tomorrow, most notably. Fed Chair Powell will be testifying to Congress. So this is 10 a.m. tomorrow, and this is when we're going to watch the fireworks fly, if you will, for that could very well be a market moving event as the gloves come off between him and the current administration. And you find out that they are fighting on the same side. Now, we've got Wednesday, the CPI is coming up, as well as Thursday, the PPI. So those both market moving events after and depending on what Jay Powell says today. Now, back to CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Their new acting director now ordering staff to stop all work and close their agency's headquarters for a week. What has gone on? They were originally created under the guise of looking out for consumers, whether it is through banking or with credit card financials. Now, they do a bit of this on the surface. However, what they have found out is that they are running, in short, as a strong arm, if you will, much like a mob boss would. So, working as a strong arm within the banking industry, and what happens is if a bank does not play along with what they want to see going on as far as regulation, or whether it's debanking individuals, debanking cryptocurrency companies, or doing whatever it is that they will, then they increase the stress levels on them and assure that they do not have access to other financial tools or things that are afforded with other banks. So, what they have been doing is running in the background their own kind of scheme, if you will, to where they can keep open the ones that they want to and have major influence. So, with this, they've cut them all. And of course, there are multiple screams about these are the only ones looking out for the poor little consumer, when in reality, they have nothing to do with the consumer's best interest in mind. So, with all of the massive shots, changes, and administration issuings that we have seen lately, this one could be very interesting. So, we've got a Bitcoin advocate pushing for quote unquote end the Fed author, Ron Paul. So he has run in politics in the United States before. He did write End the Fed, and he's kind of advocating for him to become the central bank chair. That would be a very interesting thing, to say the slightest. So, want to know in the comments what you think about that. Personally, Ron Paul, I think, wouldn't want anything to do with it other than to dismantle it. So, we'll see what happens with that. So, because of a lot of the things that are going on, we've got Ursula von der Leyen from the European Union calling for an alternative to NATO. Now, the bloc leaders are having a lot of dissension, to say the slightest. They are now pushing for a common European force free from United States control in recent years. They don't like the calling for them to put in their part, if you would, so to speak, for NATO. And they've kind of been bleeding off a lot of it for some time. So this is a major shakeup. They want to put something in place that would be outside of that. And all I've got to say is good luck to that, because if you look at the sheer numbers of not just funding that the United States has been putting in, but the manpower, materials as well, they don't have the ability to keep up. So that would be just, again, something very interesting. Now, to stick with the military, what has happened recently, United States just green lighted $7.4 billion military deal with Israel. Now, the contrast for this is that it's not being given directly. This is a sale, so they do have to sell. In quotes, Israel is purchasing um, multiples of weaponry and design. So what this is doing is this is handing, in essence, a lot of the defense contractors that are going to do very well from this, namely Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, to name some of the few. But this is going to move forward in order to bolster this military industrial complex. Now, he had been saying that there would be peace here and that they would run off with this, but it's too massive and too much of the United States GDP to cut that faucet all at once. So I think this is a push, if you will, to kind of keep that going long enough. And also that is, it's going to be keeping it going long enough that they can do other deals to replace it, is the design. So with this, just want this reminder out there that Google has erased their promise not to use artificial intelligence technology for weapons or surveillance. So they want a piece of this pie as well. So shifting a little bit over, this is the last thing that I would like to cover before letting you go. To have a wonderful day. We've got South Korea holding emergency meetings on Trump's potential steel tariffs. Now, this is one story out of some other things that are going on there, but Korean steel makers supply steel to the factories of car makers, Hyundai, Kia, as well as televisions, home appliances like Samsung and LG, both Mexico and the United States. So this would basically kind of crush their production. It would hurt their economy severely. So, South Korea, there is a lot of recent talks going on, not just with this, but there has also been a massive regime change, if you will, below the surface. Now, I've been very careful about what I say about this, but none of this is accidental. And if you look at what has happened between the last couple of leaders, if you will, both here as well as Japan, there is much deeper story here as to what is going on as far as the trade. Now, at the same time, the current administration is saying that there will be relations with North Korea, which is very interesting in light of all of these things. So, with all of these, if you want to talk about this a little bit more, feel free. Join us in Discord. Leave a comment below, if you will, or a question if you have one. I love hearing from everybody. So I wish you all a wonderful day. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.